to the FanDuel Punch Out. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at tonight's FanDuel slate, 15 games, looking at some hitters that we like, top end and value. Overall, pretty friendly slate, even though there are a handful of options, but there are a lot of games that I know you and I are both in favor of kind of jumping all in on.
Yep, in favor of jumping all in on and anecdotally jumping out on. So, yeah, we'll get into those as well.
Yeah, first one here, you got the Astros and Pirates, Ivan Nova.
Oh, look at that. There it is.
Yeah, I know the Pirates are kind of your anti-team right now. Understandably so.
After last night, I think I've shifted all my hate for the White Sox and just compounded that with my prior hate to the Pirates. So now it's just double for now.
Yeah, I mean, I know you gave me the buzzer noise last time against the Pirates. There is one name I don't mind, and that's Gregory Polanco at 3,200. I don't mind him from the left side of the plate, but obviously against Joe Musgrove, he's been pretty highly touted guy. I don't mind him, so I'm kind of staying away.
No, I do like Polanco and your boy Josh Bell. Very intriguing yesterday. Had some nice contact. Obviously had the double, so I think he's nice value at 2,200 as well.
Yeah, and that's about it. I mean, we're not really diving into the Marte, McCutchen, Harrison. I mean, I just think on a 15-game slate, I mean, obviously we've kind of always talked about the possible Pirate stack, but I just don't see it happening.
Agreed.
So, and as far as the Astros, I do like the Astros here. I mean, obviously you got to pay up to get some of these guys, but against Nova, who, you know, as we've referenced throughout the previous two pods, we do expect them to pitch better in Pittsburgh, but still, I don't mind some of these guys in a tournament fashion.
Right, I agree. I like Bregman at 32. He's obviously been showing out of late. Another pretty good matchup here against. Obviously, Nova's not going to be quite as bad, not with the Yankees anymore. But I still think this is a pretty good matchup for some of the righties in this lineup in terms of power.
Yeah, I definitely do too. I mean, Correa 3,800 certainly one I'm giving a hard look at today.
Mm-hmm.
Nationals and Orioles next year. Kevin Gausman versus Reynaldo Lopez. This one, I mean, I feel like it's going to be kind of hit or miss. As we mentioned previously, all times before, Kevin Gausman reverse splits pitcher, 362 WOBA to righties, 2.12 homers per nine going back to last year. Trey Turner, and obviously pay up options at shortstop you can take a look at. He kind of outweighs Correa a little bit just because of the ballpark factors. And then you can toss in a Wilson Ramos at 3,300. I feel pretty comfortable doing that behind the plate.
Yep, agreed. Even an Anthony Rendon at 32 I'm okay with, but I think we're kind of working around the expensive bats in the lineup as opposed to the last few days we've kind of been on Murphy Harper. I think this is a nice night to go with Trey Turner and cash. Maybe a Wilson Ramos at his nice price as well, and kind of not fading, but not necessarily getting a ton of exposure to Harper Murphy.
Yeah, definitely not two guys you're not going to rule out of GPP contention. Obviously, nice ballpark there, but yeah, I think it's just kind of a limited exposure type deal there.
Right.
As far as the Orioles go, I mean, Reynaldo Lopez is obviously not a big sample size. He's a guy, I mean, obviously coming off a decent start. You can still look at the right-handed bats here. I mean, Trumbo and Davis a little bit more reasonably priced here on FanDuel. Jones, Machado, both 3,800. I don't mind them in one-offs as far as cash. Chris Davis, obviously the odd man out. I think Trumbo is as well. I think Adam Johnson, Machado are the only two cash game-worthy guys for me. Well, the rest are kind of more GPP.
Right, and I do like Chris Davis as a swerve. I don't think he's going to be that high-owned even in a reasonable matchup, but he's really just that home run or nothing. We know that at this point. So, I mean, there is a decent shot at it, but still just a tournament guy.
Yeah, it definitely is. Angels and Blue Jays, R.A. Dickey versus Tyler Skaggs. And obviously some of these guys that you can take a look at. As far as facing the lefty Skaggs, he's a guy who obviously we had a couple starts early on when he came back from injury, looked well, but he's been kind of faltering downwards. And I don't mind, using a Donaldson or Encarnacion or even a Devin Travis or Tulowitzki.
Yeah, I think you can target quite a few in this lineup. I'm not totally in on targeting Skaggs, but it obviously puts Michael Saunders pretty much out of play for me. I don't mind Encarnacion's price here. Still a little worried about Donaldson sort of fully coming back from that hand injury, but at 42, nice tournament play.
Yeah, definitely. And then one guy I kind of forgot to mention, Melvin Upton at 3,300, kind of an interesting GPP guy because he has hit lefties very well this year. And is kind of in a lineup now where he is the forgotten man, coming from the Padres, whereas like he was a focal point when lefties were on the hill.
Definitely.
As far as the Angels, for me, it's just really the top three, and I'm not really excited about them just because of the price tags here in FanDuel. It's a little bit different where they are super cheap on DraftKings, and they're around some other guys, but it's basically the top three against Dickey, who has been a little bit home run prone, rarely gets through games unscathed.
Unscagged?
Unscagged. Yeah, unscagged. You know what?
I thought I didn't know you said that. I kind of wanted to make that my own thing, but if you want credit for it, that's fine.
Yeah, I think I'm going to turn that in. I think it's going to be a Tyler Skaggs type word.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's just the front three for me. I can't dive into the rest of this lineup.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's pretty straightforward there.
Yeah. Red Sox and Rays next year. Clay Buchholz versus Chris Archer. Some of these guys, Brad Miller is a guy who I'm looking to use a lot of here at 3,500. I think shortstop's actually a really good spot tonight. I mean, there's a lot of guys I want to go with. We obviously already named Correa and Trey Turner, but can't forget about Brad Miller here hitting fourth, who obviously has shown off a lot of upside and power. And against Buchholz, hey.
Yeah, man. That's a tough decision between him and Turner tonight because obviously we love Brad Miller against righties, especially when that righty's Clay Buchholz. So this is a lovely matchup. We're obviously in favor of this. Kiermaier, I like him. I was watching the game yesterday, man. He just has so much energy for a young pup. He's always going for that big swing, so I like his chances tonight of potentially getting some power here.
Yeah, I definitely do too. And outside that, I mean, you can still look at Forsythe Longoria. I don't mind a race stack in the tournament, but I'm looking more so at the lefties.
Agreed.
As far as the Red Sox go, I will be limiting my exposure here on FanDuel. I think there's still a fine option against Archer because they've shown success against Archer in the past. And obviously with these guys and their track record, it's always there. I actually think if I am going to go up, it might be for an Ortiz or Betts, and I'm not really looking at the lower guys. Maybe a Bradley Jr. as well.
Yep, agreed. That's kind of what we're looking at here. I'm not totally afraid of Archer in terms of power. I still like Ortiz and, like you mentioned, Bradley. But overall, this is sort of a tournament lineup tonight.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's I'm not going to say boomer bust, but it kind of feels a little bit that way.
Yeah.
Rangers and Reds next year in Great American Ballpark. We've seen how that's really played out over the last few games. Dan Strader versus Derek Holland. Even these Rangers bets here are a little bit reasonably priced. I mean, obviously Desmond at 3,800 is the only one that I feel is overpriced, but Beltran, Beltre, Odor, Lucroy, all 34, 3,500. I like that kind of tier right there. I'm kind of going to be skipping out on the first two.
Agreed. Yeah, Profar. The prices are cheap enough in this lineup where I don't feel the need to go in on Profar, especially with Beltran at outfield as well. Just 500 more. So Beltran really the main guy there. I don't mind Odor either.
Yeah, I don't. I think that's a reasonable price tag. And Profar's move to the outfield as far as the position eligibility makes it a little bit easier to do. But as you mentioned, I mean, I just don't feel the need to kind of do that with this lineup being as cheap as it already is.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we talked about Straley. I mean, Straley is a guy who, you look at his game logs, he obviously looks like he's pitched well, but I do feel like he's been a little bit lucky. BABIP is still incredibly low. Sierra is still up over 4. I think there is some regression coming.
Agreed. I certainly hope so because I'm going to be getting some Rangers exposure tonight.
As far as the Reds, I mean, obviously Billy Hamilton's a little bit cheaper here. And obviously, if he gets on, he's going to be running for days. The Duvall and Phillips price tags are a lot easier to stomach. I don't mind really those 3 bats here.
Yeah, and obviously it is lefty on lefty, but Joey Votto, always in play at first. Some better options around his price tag, but don't rule him out in deep GPPs.
No, I don't think so either. Not with what he's doing in the second half.
Yep.
Royals and Marlins, Andrew Cashin versus Yordano Ventura. This game, I mean, I do think it's going to be a low-scoring, kind of boring DFS game.
Such a Royals game, man. Such a Royals game.
It is. And in terms of prices, though, Christian Yelich at 3,200, I do like a little bit here in GPPs.
Definitely agree. This is a much more appealing lineup here. I do like Yelich. Not really in on anyone else, but the prices are pretty reasonable. So Yelich in tournaments probably.
Yeah, definitely. And we're joking around with Alex Gordon on DraftKings, who's 5K, but 2,800 here. He's been red hot. I'm not going to completely rule him out because, I mean, obviously it's another matchup where he could definitely do some damage. I mean, you look at Casher, 154 home runs per nine to lefties, 376 WOBA since last year. I'm not going to quite throw out Hosmer and Gordon. I think those are actually more in play here on FanDuel.
I was going to say, I feel like the odds are pretty good of a Hosmer or Gordon home run tonight. So, I mean, not 100%, but maybe like 60%. It's pretty good for the Royals.
Which is good in baseball. 60%. You know, if I was hitting 600, that'd be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think you and I both agree that game's can be pretty lackluster outside of basically the three guys we mentioned.
Right.
Phillies and White Sox here, Carlos Rodon versus Jake Thompson. And I know for the Phillies, you like him as kind of a GPP value sense here. And I'll kind of let you dive into that.
Who's that?
You know, if you were paying attention, I led you into your Phillies value GPP bets.
I was thinking about the percentages I just threw out there for the Royals home run. Sorry, that was a little might have been a little overextended there. Anyway, back to the Phillies. Yeah, I like Tommy Joseph and Maikel Franco. Really cheap prices. Rodon's a good pitcher, but we've seen multiple times this year Maikel Franco and Tommy Joseph sort of take advantage of lefties. So in a one-off sense, I like both. I wouldn't necessarily want to stack them, though.
Yeah, I don't mind those guys. I don't mind Aaron Alter at 3,200 as well. And obviously, as you mentioned, Rodon's been very up and down throughout his career so far. Home runs, a little bit of an issue, 1.28 home runs per nine to righties. Obviously, in that ballpark, it is a nice bump to some of those right-handed power bats.
Right, agreed.
As far as the White Sox go, I do like some of the lefties here against Thompson. Obviously, Thompson, very small sample size, but 44% hard ball rate to lefties so far, 383 WOBA. Eaton, Melky Cabrera, Morneau, I'm certainly okay with. The Todd Frazier price, 3,800, a little out there for me, but I'm not going to rule it out.
Yeah, Justin Morneau plus the Pirates have just kind of lifted up this lineup for me, and I don't hate them anymore. They're just kind of, you know, whatever. I don't like them. But tonight I like this matchup. I like Eaton quite a bit. I like Cabrera. I like Abreu. Abreu's been hitting pretty well in terms of power of late, and I like obviously Morneau, Frazier. So I think there's plenty of options. I like Eaton as a potential cash game option as well.
Yeah, I do too. I think Eaton's kind of been the most consistent guy as far as producing points. I mean, not your highest upside guy, but in terms of kind of getting on base, he's definitely been there. Outside of that, I think you can kind of fade the rest of this lineup. There's no real need to dive down to those secondary options. So we can move on there.
Okay.
Tigers and Twins, Anibal Sanchez, Kyle Gibson. As we kind of talked about with Anibal Sanchez throughout the previous two pods, he's been pitching better of late, but still kind of hard not to look at a Max Kepler, Miguel Sano in a GPP high upside type fashion.
I like that quite a bit, but yeah, overall, I don't think we're targeting the Twins here. It's not a Joe Mauer night, but it might be a Joe Mauer night. That's all I'm saying.
You can say that. I'm not saying that. It's not a Joe Mauer night for me.
It's a Joe Mauer night. It's a Joe Mauer night.
For you. For you
me.
alone. Joe Mauer Island.
It's a Joe Mauer Island night.
You're going to hop on Mauer Airlines and fly
Yes,
to
sir.
Maurerville because
Yes,
you're
sir.
going to be the only one there, population Russ.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to go to the grocery store, and it's just going to be all old stuff. And it's just going to be.
There's only one self-checkout machine because that's all that's needed because you're the only one who shops there.
Everything expired 7 years ago or whenever Mauer
when
got
Mauer
that
was good.
Yeah, when he got that contract and was a catcher. Yeah.
As far as the Tigers go, I mean, some of the prices are a little bit higher here. Obviously, Kinsler and Miguel Cabrera and Martinez. I still think they're stack worthy. I like Victor Martinez behind the dish at 3,200. I think he's a solid option. Obviously, Gibson has struggled with lefties. 336 WOBA since last year. Obviously, been much higher this year. And you also have the advantage of using him at catcher.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that play quite a bit. Overall, though, I mean, we've seen Gibson be really random with his blow-ups. I think this could be a night, but at the same time, you're really paying a premium for Kinsler here and Cabrera. So nice tournament options, but Victor Martinez, really the guy I'm looking at in cash.
Yeah, I think Kinsler's more of a GPP move. Miguel Cabrera is still cash game worthy if you can throw him, if you can afford the price. I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Rockies and Brewers, Chase Anderson versus John Gray. I like some of the Rockies bats here in this game. Obviously, Chase Anderson, a reverse splits guy. I mean, against righties has been horrible since last year. 360 WOBA, 1.57 home runs per nine. Arenado comes into play here, obviously, as a standout right-handed option at 4K. If you are paying up at third base, I do like him there.
Yep, agreed. Cash game viable for me if you can fit him in. So certainly like that. I like this Rockies lineup, even though it's not in Coors. Still a pretty good matchup for them. If Charlie Blackmon's in the lineup, I'm okay with him at 4K as well.
Yeah, definitely. You can also toss out a Cargo and David Dahl.
Yep.
And obviously, if Blackman is out, Dahl sneaks up to the leadoff spot, which is a nice spot for him. Saw it yesterday, gets on twice, 2 stolen bases. He has that type of potential.
NBD.
What?
No big deal. NBD.
Okay.
Sorry, you're not up with the slang of the millennials there, pal.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess it's a little more out of my groove. I guess I do spell things out.
Yeah, that's right.
Whatever. As far as the Brewers go, I'm not really on them here tonight. I mean, always you can kind of look at a Villar or Ryan Braun for high upside. Even a Chris Carter if you want to go that route in GPPs, but I'm not a fan of the prices here on FanDuel, especially that Villar price.
Agreed. A little expensive for me to hit on the Brewers tonight. I'd rather just take a chance on Gray.
Yeah, I think so too. Mets and Cardinals next year. Jaime Garcia versus John Neese. John Neese has been a guy who you can pick on with right-handed bats, and we have been able to for some time now. Tommy Pham, 2,400 if he's leading off, is obviously in a solid spot, and then obviously Piscotty's probably the standout option against left-handers here in this lineup.
Yep, absolutely. Love that price. 3,700 against Neese. I think you're firing away with him in cash if you can fit it in. So certainly like that there. Overall, though, I'm not really in on this Cardinals lineup overall.
No, I think Jed Jerko might be the only secondary name. Yadier Molina, I don't like the price around guys like Victor Martinez and Gary Sanchez and Wellington Castillo. I like those other guys better.
The real Sanchez, I'd say.
Yeah, no kidding.
and no Mets tonight, right? Other than Jonas, maybe.
I like Jonas Cespedes at 3,700. I still like Wilmer Flores as a GPP option at 25 for value. I'm not going to knock those two guys, but outside of that, yeah, I'm not really looking at any other name there.
Right.
Braves and Diamondbacks next year, Rob Whalen versus Archie Bradley. And given Bradley's numbers against lefties, 374 WOBA since last year, 1.43 homes per nine. Inciarte, Freeman, Markakis, 3 lefties right there that do stand out. And I'm even not going to rule out a Matt Kemp either.
Yeah. I mean, these Braves, since they got Kemp, apparently they just needed one righty in their lineup to really even things out here. So, yeah, Freeman and Cash at 38. Totally fine with that. And, yeah, I like that lefty stack, that 1-3-5 stack. For the Braves, I think I think that should average out at some point in terms of production.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, obviously we saw this last game. I mean, 17 runs combined between the two, and I do think there's a chance where you see that double-digit run total be exploited again. Jumping over to the Diamondback side here, I mean, guys like Segura, Goldschmidt are obviously in play. Segura, I like his price much more here on FanDuel, and then Yasmani Tomas and Castillo. I mean, definitely a stacking option. And as we've kind of pointed out the last time, we didn't really mention Lamb because of his recent struggles. Over his last 14.
Yeah.
But still a GPP play.
Still a GPP play, but I think he's out of cash consideration until we see this turnaround. I also mentioned on DK, if Jason Hayward can hit a homer, then Jake Lamb can definitely hit a homer. So I still am confident that he'll turn this around, but tournaments for now.
Yeah, definitely. The other guys I feel actually really comfortable using in cash games against Whalen.
Yep, agreed.
So, Indians and Athletics here, Sean Manaea versus Danny Salazar. I'm not really the biggest fan of this game alone, but I still don't mind the Mike Napoli price. I don't mind the Brandon Guyer price, the Rajai Davis price. Further upside against lefties, I don't mind. I'm not going to rule those guys out.
Can't rule those guys out, but I don't know how much exposure I'm getting to this game in general. I just don't like the pitchers that much. I don't like the lineups and their matchups and handedness. It's just a bunch of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you do look at Minea though. I mean, as far as home runs go, I mean, he's given up a ton. I mean, 14 over
Yeah,
his last about 90 innings or so. So there is a lot of potential for some home runs there. Obviously, it's just the ballpark factors that you probably need to get maybe the right guy or two in there because I think it is going to be kind of focused on maybe one who really has the big production.
definitely.
So, and Lindor is a guy who we talked about in DraftKings, not really in play on here. I rather kind of bump up to Brad Miller, Brad Miller's at the similar price, but or Correa or Turner.
I consider it a bump up just because of the potential. You know what I mean? You're bumping up the potential there if you're playing Brad Miller tonight.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. In A's, not quite the value that you need to kind of dive into against Salazar, who we know
No.
we're not quite sure if he's right yet, but it's still not something I'm going at in a 15-game slate.
It's one of those, you know what? If you play them in a GPP and it works out for you, I'm going to be proud of you because I don't have the heart for that one.
Yeah, I don't either. And I'll just be like, I'll probably be like, really? Like, really?
Oh, yeah, no, I'll do that when you're beating me. But, like, I'll be angry. But at the same time, I'll be like, you know what? At the end of the day, that dude put money on the A's scoring runs. So, got to give him some credit.
Well, if you're building 30 lineups tonight, the A's might fall into one.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Yankees and Mariners next here. CC Sabathia versus Taijuan Walker. As far as the Mariners go, I mean, pretty kind of easy to dissect where you're going to be looking, and that's Nelson Cruz. And if you want a cheaper Nelson Cruz, Franklin Gutierrez.
Ooh, yeah, no, agreed. Those two, pretty simple. Cano, if you want to do a tournament type-ish guy, but he's a little expensive for that. Overall, though, just looking at the righties there.
Yeah, I think so too. Not really looking at the lefties. I mean, although some decent players are priced like Kyle Seager, Cano's not at a bad price. I'm not going to rule them out, but it's obviously more the focal point of the righties.
Yeah.
So, as far as the Yankees go, I mean, obviously Gary the Goat Sanchez is going to be in consideration against Walker, who is home run prone. So this home run streak might continue. Outside of that, though, I'm not the biggest fan of these prices. I mean, Gardner and Ellsbury, sure, but they never really have enough upside for me to make into my lineups.
So I guess the question is, do you go 100% Sanchez?
No, I'm not.
No? Okay.
No, I'll hedge some. We've talked about some catchers. I mean, Ramos, Castillo. We've talked
Ramos,
about some.
yeah.
We've I'm not jumping all aboard
Yeah.
I'll be afraid. I mean, he's been a guy who's just, if you don't have him, he kind of sinks you.
Yeah, I just look at 2,800. That's tough to. I know it's not a perfect matchup, but he's just been so good. In terms of the rest of the guys in the lineup, I do like Brett Gardner at 31. I think that's a pretty reasonable price for him. I mean, as we've been seeing, I mean, Brian McCann kind of gets shoved to the side here, but still decent option at catcher here versus a righty. But overall, Sanchez is the guy here.
Yeah, I think so too. Outside of that, I'm not really looking at a lot of names. I mean, Castro, Gregorius, I don't mind them in the middle infield in the GPP sense. So that's about it.
Agreed.
Cubs and Padres here next. I mean, we saw reasonable options as far as pricing goes on DraftKings, but they're actually a little bit more expensive here on FanDuel, which is oddly, we don't say that often. I'm not really on the Fowler and Zobrist train as much, but I still don't mind paying up for a Brian if you want to go that route in GPPs. But on a 15-game slate, I'm not getting a ton of exposure to the Cubs at these prices here.
No, I like DK's prices much more here. Fowler, I'm not in on that. Obviously, Chris Bryant's still in cash game play. Even Rizzo, nice tournament guy, sure. I don't care if it's a lefty, if it's not a strong one. So you can fire away with those two if you want to be different. Overall, not necessarily a lineup I'm targeting.
Yeah, me either. And the Padres are obviously,
Yeah.
As far as the next one goes, here we have the Giants and Dodgers. I'm not really a big fan of this game as far as offense goes. I think, we've talked about some guys you can look at for these price ranges as far as low threes and high twos, but this is not a game where I'm diving into.
Agreed. Yeah, not something I'm looking at too hard here. I guess I took some resistance when I said you're playing Maeda and Bumgarner from you, but I don't mind them.
No, I mean, I don't mind them as pitchers. It was just like, well, you made it like, hey, I'm going 100% Maeda and Bumgarner.
Now, you're right. I should have said, no, if you're Jason, you're playing them both 100% in cash. That's probably what I should have said.
Definitely not doing that.
But yeah, point remains, two solid arms in a weak ballpark with two pretty mediocre offenses against their handedness. So yeah, meh.
Yep, that sums up. Yep. So that's going to wrap things up with the FanDuel Punch Out. Be sure to check out DaveFantasyCafe.com for all the great tools and content.